In the UK, the construction industry consumes about 400 million tonnes of materials and generates approximately 100 million tonnes of waste. 30% of this waste goes to landfill. This is unsustainable and also very costly. Our aim is to adopt and implement standards for good practice in reducing waste, recycling more, and increasing the use of recycled and recovered materials in our projects. Higgins Construction plc has a duty to manage its waste in a responsible manner, following the waste hierarchy of reduce, reuse, recycle. In 2009 and 2010, over a period of 19 projects, Higgins Construction used 5,751 skips with an approximate cost value of £7.5 million. Of this, 11.47% actually went to landfill. There are some simple, quick wins to minimize the amount of waste going to landfill, such as preventing wastage and damage to on-site materials, over-ordering, skip costs, and landfill by managing our stocks more sensibly. Over-ordered stock just waits to be damaged and never gets used. If materials are protected in weatherproof containers, the cost of waste could drop significantly, saving the project money that could be used elsewhere. Before a project starts, we have to create a site management plan that takes account of all relevant stages of the build with which we are involved, such as demolition, groundworks, and construction. On new projects, we should consider all the building materials that will be delivered onto site, and then all the byproducts that follow as the project starts. The strategy plan should primarily consider how byproducts can be prevented in the first instance, and secondly, how they are going to be managed after, how and where they can be segregated later on site and recycled. For example, plasterboard can be ordered to any size to minimize offcuts, and any residual waste could be shredded into granules and stored before being collected by the manufacturer for processing. This reduces unnecessary skip costs. Regardless of what trade is being deployed on the build at any one time, offcuts and general waste will always be inevitable. We must encourage all trades to fully utilize their materials in the way we would at home, sometimes by putting to one side materials that would be usable on another part of the job. Small offcuts sometimes will do the job in hand before cutting into a new length of board from the stores. %10 of all materials ordered for a construction site are never used and often end up in a skip. It is estimated that the total value of unused materials equates to £1.5 billion per year for the industry. At our Crayland site in Basildon, the construction team met at an early stage to identify ways to minimise waste on site through the creation of a site management plan. On this particular project, the team quickly identified the key waste streams that would be generated from the finishing works and timber frames. Higgins employed an on-site recycling company to manage its waste streams around the site and set up an area close to the segregation area to process the materials that were coming off-site, such as timber, plasterboard, and brick, which will be reused on finishing projects such as landscaping and roads. Higgins has set itself some tough targets for 2011 and 2012 by steadily reducing all waste that goes to landfill by 50% from the 2008 figures, with the eventual aim of zero non-hazardous waste going to landfill. We are currently on track to meet our aims. All materials that are processed for on-site needs are being used in a number of ways: garden landscaping and aggregate for road footings. This ultimately reduces the cost of the whole project and our carbon footprint if we had to transport this material from other parts of the country. Of course, not all materials can be recycled for use on building projects. The Higgins team are constantly investigating different ways of disposing of all packaging plastics, metals and foam to other recycling outlets. The industry cannot allow the clock to be turned back to the way it used to conduct itself over the past 10 years, when for every 3 houses built, we buried another in waste materials alone. Landfill usage and associated taxes has dictated the necessary change in the way we now conduct our business. The EEC has placed some heavy penalties on UK's local authorities if waste directives and targets are exceeded, and in terms of business, the UK government has placed financial penalties for every tonne we send to landfill, increasing year on year. Construction and demolition waste accounts for nearly 4 times that of domestic waste, and councils are exacting heavy pressure on householders to follow suit in segregating household waste. As most homes now have multiple bins for different waste streams, it just means we will have to bring our new habits to work and ensure we practice the same there. Good, clear signage for each section should be visible, and all contractors made aware of their obligations. The fly tippers, or those who have just made an error in misplacing their rubbish, should be corrected if spotted. For all construction waste, Higgins has a legal obligation to use licensed waste carriers. Unlicensed carriers are open to prosecution if stopped, as well as the hiring company. For each and every collection, a waste note is issued before the lorry leaves the site. It will also note the European Waste Catalogue Code and the waste destination. All licensed waste carriers will supply you with a monthly report on how and where your waste was disposed of. All site visits by contracts managers, as part of their management procedures, will cover waste transfer notes and management licenses, as well as any exemptions, to ensure compliance with our duty of care. We must continually educate our teams, from the boardroom to the building site. Everybody in the course of their day deposits waste into bins, whether it be office paper, cardboard boxes, coffee cups or drinking cans. We all have a part to play in reducing our rubbish at work. Higgins at head office have, apart from other energy reduction schemes in the pipeline, installed a compactor for all its cardboard and paper waste streams. This reduces mixed waste costs. On-site inductions address environmental awareness issues, as well as health and safety. Everybody should be informed as to where and how the waste streams operate on site. It is important everyone understands the rationale as to why we segregate and process these materials on site and what happens to it afterwards. We must continually educate before we can expect everyone to buy in. So please do your bit and help us achieve our goal.